So here I am, here with Paul Green, head teacher of the Academy of Central Bedfordshire. It's a pleasure to see you, Paul. We've worked together very closely over the last 6 years, and it's been a phenomenal partnership and journey. And I thank you for continuing to work with us. And we've both learnt loads along the way and seen some phenomenal results from the use of Google across your schools and the Academy Trust. So, Paul, initially, after 6 years of doing this now, the first question is, what kind of benefits do you think you've seen following a Google strategy across both schools?
Good question. So the Academy of Central Bedfordshire is an alternative provision school, and therefore we educate young people who have or are at risk of permanent exclusion from their mainstream schools. So having a different way of learning, or alternative way of learning, is key.
Yeah.
And we do that in the classroom using assistive technology.
Yeah.
Google Chromebooks, Google Classroom, VR headsets all bring a different element to the teaching and learning that takes place in the classroom, but allows the students to engage in a way that is current, is fresh, is new, is exciting, but it allows them to foster their new style of learning. That re-engagement in learning is what's key, particularly with the Academy. We have a wonderful vocational curriculum. We've got some very fine, well-equipped areas. But in terms of your English, maths and your core subjects, PSHRE, science as well, we have to be very different to how perhaps they might have been taught in previous schools. Yeah. So coming in, having access to this assistive technology allows them this new way of learning, which is exciting and engaging. And then from that, we get academic achievement, progress, and sort of developing of self-confidence and the ability to learn.
Yes, fantastic. And from doing this for 6 years and experiencing how to implement change across the schools in the trust, what kind of things have you learnt to ensure the smooth best practice use of Google across both schools? Is there any tips or any things you've learnt along the way that you think could help other schools?
I think everybody will have their models of change and management of change, but I think in terms of the technology, obviously the absolute basics are having a clear plan of setting up the infrastructure before you start, particularly around your Google Drive, your G Drive, because as an organisation, if you don't get your permission set early and a colleague leaves and you delete that person's user account, then you can actually find that you've lost some key information.
Yes, indeed.
Shared drives and team drives are really important. And having those disciplines and strategy set up sound quite basic, but actually can really catch you out if you haven't given that some thought and time. Obviously, you take a range of staff, and you have a staff who are dead keen, enthusiastic to get involved with the change. Then you'll get some who will be like, that's okay, I'll learn as I go, and then obviously because it's technology, you get a few who are very much not keen.
That's right.
And I think that's where looking at the additional training packages that can help people learn the different aspects of Google, because actually once you get into it, it's a very user-friendly system, but people who can show you some of the basic tips, I think one of the key ones, there's no right click on a keyboard, but 2 fingers in the bottom right corner brings up the
things
same
like
result.
that. Yeah,
those little bits that make Google slightly different, really key. And I think also having people who can point you in the direction. So obviously Vitalize for us was a real key to pointing us out in the right direction of different aspects. So for example, add-ons, the different type of add-ons that are
Yes,
available.
extensions. Yeah.
Yeah, and the use of extensions to then bring about enhanced usage of Google Docs, Google
Yes.
Sheets, Google Slides. Again, take that all to a different level. And those add-ons or extensions do really kind of take it to the next level.
Yes.
And again, I think people only know what they're exposed to.
Very true.
Having somebody who can point you in the right direction.
Exactly right. And I think one of the things we've learned with our training is with the sort of slightly more reluctant staff is to give them some quick wins in terms of time saving and show them, for example, self-marking forms and this sort of thing, and how you can actually get some time back. Give them a really good reason to see what these tools can do, and actually once they do start to use them, and then you're right, it is a very intuitive platform, and a lot of the tools are very similar, all basically linking back to Google Drive. It's the one place where everything is saved, which is nice and makes it simpler for the users. Everything's online, so there's no installed apps or anything like that. It's all online, it's all saved in one place, but there's lots of different things to save time as well as make lessons more engaging. So yeah, our training is very much focused on making sure we get everyone up to the best they can be with the, and make sure that they've got they've got the support they need to be able to flourish with the technology.
I think one point that really was key for our implementation strategy was the fact that we decided that we would do it in English and Maths subjects only first.
Yeah.
So we made our English and Maths teachers the Google champions.
Yeah.
But also at the same time we rolled it out to the whole staff.
Yeah.
So what we were doing was we were exposing students in English and Maths where the use of the devices and the use of Google Classrooms were very well thought out and planned and well executed. But at the same time, all staff were learning and exposure. So when children were talking in other subject areas about the use of Google Classroom, staff were able to discuss that and be aware of that. And by the time we then rolled it out in other subject areas, students had a basic usage level, staff had a basic usage level, but students had understood the value and the benefits of Google Classroom and IT in those subjects. Because the risk was, in my opinion, if you put it into all subject areas and then you have a practitioner who doesn't utilise the technology well, it then devalues students' opinions of Google Classroom.
That's right.
And then when you get student resentment, you get lack of engagement, and that in its own right is a negative. But we have a number of students who utilise on their way to school and in their own time the Google Classroom in order to continue with their learning. And again, that benefit of the platform is huge for our students, because again they're utilising time that they feel is beneficial for their learning at a time that's convenient. And we see from the usage stats that there are some wonderful and weird times in which students decide to do their learning.
And it's not 9 o'clock in the morning, is it?
No. But that is their choice. And again, that independence is again something that we look to develop in our learners, is that you're independently responsible for your own learning.
Yes.
And that is again assisted by this. Without it, they probably wouldn't do it.
That's right. That's very true. And are you able to talk a little bit about some of the projects you've been working on more recently with remote using Google and your teachers here to deliver remote school type solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the pandemic, I think, is the first example. So when the pandemic hit, we were able to very quickly switch to full virtual. The school went into closure the very next day. We had all our devices in with students. Students all had the device where they needed one. And we were able to establish a Google virtual classroom. Students would attend in Google Meet sessions with teachers and would be taught their subject content live on a day-by-day basis. And we were able to have just over 4 hours provision per day. Obviously building in rest breaks more than perhaps we would if we were in school. But they were able to have over 4 hours provision per day from the third day of the pandemic. And that was only achieved because of what we already had in place.
Yes.
But recently, we've been working on a project with the Department for Education in relation to levelling up funds. I've been working with the Gypsy Roma Traveller community, and what we've done there is we've provided English and Maths tuition via Google Meet with a tutor at the end of the device, and students interacting through their device in their home. And that's resulted in English and Maths, and out of the cohort of students who've done that, 80% of that cohort have now gone on to further education. And many of that 80% didn't have the aspiration of going on to further education when the project started, but have really enjoyed being able to access English and Maths learning at a time that was convenient for them. Via Google Meet and via the use of a Chromebook, and now have re-engaged in learning and have got a different pathway for their life over the next 2 years than they would without
exciting project, and it's a phenomenal result, isn't it? 80% have effectively changed direction and doing something that they wouldn't have done had you not delivered that service for them. It's fantastic. But the DFE will be delighted once they see that.
Yes. Initial feedback from the DFE is that it's been a successful pilot, and hopefully we'll wait and see what other policy changes are made, and maybe it might become something of the future.
Well, that's indeed. Well, it's been fabulous talking to you today, Paul. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to continue to work with you moving forward and developing the use of Google across your schools, and benefiting the students and the teachers with the technology.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks, Paul.
Cheers, sir.
Thank you.